everyone, and welcome back to another exciting installment of our case study on how to create a website using nothing but outsourced gigs on what was formerly known as Source Market and is now known as Conquer, which we found out recently was named after a cartoon squirrel. Last time we were here, we had bought a domain from a seller, and he failed to deliver to us on time. So we went and, well, I did this off camera because I would have just been saying the same thing over and over again. But I went and found another domain broker to buy a domain off of, and his expired as well. Pretty long, drawn out process to buy a domain, you would think. But that guy told me that he had some computer problems and that he was back on selling now. So I figured, sometimes shit does happen. So I gave him another chance. And I'm going to recap the conversation with you here just to give you an example of what not to do when trying to sell services on an online platform like this, or really anything. After our purchase, I said, okay, I gave him another chance. I said, let's try this again. And then I promptly followed up with, I hope I'm not going to have to wait another 7 to 10 days to get my domain, because I'd already waited, I think it was like 10 days and got nothing. So he replies and he says, sure, I'll give it to you in a day. That was on November 10th. On November 13th, late at night, because that's how I roll, I still hadn't heard anything. And I said, so what's the deal? It's been like 3 weeks since my initial order. There is no excuse for it to take this long. Maybe I was being a bit of a dick, but I wanted to get this case study moving along. And quite frankly, the service had been pretty pathetic up to that point. He said he'd give me that today, and which was the next day, and he did. But he tried to give me a Canadian domain, even though in the initial order I told him I had to have a United States one because I can't register a Canadian domain. Or if I can, it's more trouble than I wanted to go through. So I asked for a US domain. He finally said okay, like maybe an hour later, and he delivered us this domain, sbtelegram.com, which we'll go check out in Majestic a minute from now. But before we do that, this seller has since apparently either gotten himself banned or decided to quit selling, because if we click on his profile, we have absolutely nothing to show. So either he got too busy, his computer problems got bad, but my suspicion is he did something to get himself banned. So I can't recommend him as a seller for domains in the future either. So the moral here is, if you don't suck at customer service and you know how to scrape domains, there is absolutely an opportunity here for you to make some money. So go scrape some domains and sell them on, I almost said Source Market, on Conquer, and, get paid. So let's go over to Majestic to check out the domain that we got, just to make sure that he wasn't full of hogwash. That's going to be our term for the day. Everybody yell like it was Pee-wee's Playhouse every time I say hogwash. No, don't really. That would be weird. So, not that impressed with this, but again, we don't need a super powerful domain for what we're doing here. And then this looks pretty good. Backlink profile. Internet is slow every time I do a live cast. That's pretty solid for a $5 domain. That's actually a pretty decent backlink profile. And, let's double check and make sure that the root domain is not more powerful. That's not great, but for a $5 domain, this is respectable. And again, we're not looking for something super powered. We're not using this for a PBN. We're just looking to get a little extra pop out of a money site. So let's double check on Majestic. Hopefully I haven't used my allotment for today. This is the most overpriced tool on the fucking market, if you ask me. You didn't ask me, but if you did, that's what I'd say. This is actually very respectable for a $5 domain. So overall, I'm happy with what we got, even though it took the better part of a month to get it. Really, that's about all I have for this video. In the next video for the series, I thought about doing these all in one, but it would be a long, complicated video that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put together. But in the next video, I'll be setting it up on a hosting plan. I'll show you what hosting plan I purchased, and then I'll set up the skeleton of the site while we get our content ready. And then I'll be showing you a video on how to get our content as well. I already had a service for that picked out in mind before I started this project, so that'll be a pretty quick video. Fortunately, the seller on that is a good guy, and he's actually in the group, and he's offered to give you something special for using his service in the future. So look out for that in the next couple of days. If you have any questions, I just said I fucking hate when I do that, so that's why I talk real fast, if anyone ever wondered. Anyway, that aside, in the next couple of days, we'll be putting out those videos, and if you have any questions or anything, just feel free to hit me up on any of the channels that you find this on, YouTube, Facebook, anything else. Thanks for watching, and we'll be talking to you soon.